talking about life symbols. And a symbol in general is a thing that represents or stands for something else, especially a material object representing something abstract. All of us have had instances where something significant has happened in our life. And we have thought, if it's Jesse, he's got his uncle who went to the Super Bowl and brought him, bought something from the Super Bowl and brought it to him. And he keeps that as a reminder of that day. And all of us, I believe, we have things that have happened to us, and we get things and say, I'm gonna, like for me, my mom died 4 years ago. And I have a picture of her that I carry with me every time. Doesn't mean I can't remember her without the picture, but that is a symbol for me that I carry every day to keep reminding me of who she was and what she taught me to be. And so all of us have those kinds of symbols. And one day, I love speaking, and one day I went to speak in a place in Maine, and there was this lady that came, I spoke, and people were coming and saying hi, and this lady decided to bless me, and she said, I want to bless you so that you can continue with your ministry. Obviously, she gave me some money, but what she gave me was, she gave me a penny. She's like, I bless you to continue with your ministry. And I was like, this was a symbol for me to know that this lady didn't have a lot of money. I was actually speaking in a church that that used to house homeless people, a church that people who had done drugs or being rehabilitated, and she didn't have a lot. This is all that she had. And so I told myself, I'm going to carry this on my wallet every day to remind me that I do not need to have a lot to be generous. I do not need to have a lot to be able to bless someone or be able to push someone to what God has called them to do. These things act as a memory for us so that we don't forget what happened or where we have come from. Life symbols do not necessarily need to be objects, but they can also be memories of things that happened to us, whether good or bad. So don't just say, I'm going to think about the good things, I'm going to keep the memory of the good things and then forget the bad things, because both of them are equally important. In our spiritual lives, it is important not to forget how far we have come, because most of us do that. We get to a place where we are today, and we forget totally where we've come from. Yeah. I want to look at a man called David, because David is a man who went through a lot in his life. David was a man who kept his memory alive and well. When he was faced with a giant by the name Goliath, who was the strongest Philistine, and Goliath was so tall, he stood at 6'9". He did not just see the threat that he faced. Let me tell you, if it was some of us who were faced with Goliath, the whole army was hiding. The whole army, and Israel had a good army that was trained, that was powerful, that had conquered battles, but the whole army was hiding. But then David, because of his memory, he remembered that he had faced some things before this encounter, and God had helped him to conquer these things. And his memory of God was still alive. And so I want to look at 1 Samuel 17, 34 to 39, but I really just want to concentrate on 37, which says, David said, moreover, the Lord delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, and he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go, and the Lord be with you. David's confidence is coming from the fact that his memory still believes that there was a lion that came, there was a bear that came while he was a shepherd, and God helped him to kill all these too. And so he says, if God helped me to do that, then God is also going to help me to bring down this Philistine. Everyone is hiding. Everyone is like, and these are people that have seen God deliver, have seen God, the Israel army has seen God be with them, and they've killed so many people. They've conquered so many lands, but they've forgotten about that. But here comes a shepherd who has not forgotten what God has done. And he says, God delivered me from the hand of the lion, from the paw of the bear, and he's going to deliver me from this Philistine. And so David is confident that he can kill Goliath, not because of anything, but because his memory helps him to remember about the lion and about the bear. The same David reminds us, David knew that memory is very important, especially when we come to spiritual things. He reminds us in Psalms 103, chapter 2, he says, praise the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. Because most of us do that. We forget about the benefits of God. We should see God in everything that we go through, whether good or bad. Because if it was bad and you were able to come through it, it is because God was with you and he was able to carry you through all that. And so, could it be possible that people live miserable lives because they forget easily? Could it be possible we walk every day crying and saying, God has forsaken me, because we have forgotten what God has done for us. Some of us have forgotten how far God has brought us. And every time we are faced with difficulties, we start complaining that God has forsaken us instead of remembering the battles that he has won on our behalf. And so can you imagine if all of us kept our memory alive? The memory of what God has done in our lives. If our faith was built up rather than beaten by tough circumstances in our lives. If we all looked at challenges from a point of view of a faithful God who has promised to be with us until the ends of the world. One thing to do this week as you go, as you go home, I want you to get your journal. And I want you to find time when you're alone. I want you to write every significant thing that has happened in your life, whether positive or negative, up to this point. And when you write those things down, find out, is there any, have I seen God's hand in all these things? Because I promise you, if you can keep your memory alive, you'll see that God has carried you throughout all these things. And so as I finish, I have one question for all of you guys. Are you guys from Temecula?